Hello everyone, so today we're going to be learning how to build a Reddit bot that has the ability to extract posts and comments as well as post and comment itself. Some disclaimers before we get started. There is a lot of power that comes with building a bot like this. Keep in mind that it's going to be communicating with other people if you ever complete it and deploy it to other subreddits outside of the testing grounds. And so my only ask is that you only make it do things that you wish others would do to you. With that being said, let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to need is a Reddit account. I do suggest creating an entirely new Reddit account for this purpose. You don't want to clog up the one you use on a daily basis. Also, it's insanely easy to accidentally write some code wrong and completely spam subreddits or Reddit itself and then be subsequently banned from those subreddits or Reddit. And you don't want to do that with your main account. The only downside to building an entirely new Reddit account for this is that there are rate limits, and so you may only be able to post and comment every 15 minutes, and so this tutorial might take a long time with breaks in between. The second prerequisite is that you're going to need a computer, and you're going to need to have Python 3.7 or above installed on it. This tutorial is extremely beginner friendly, however, I'm not going to teach you how to install Python or how to run a Python file itself. So I'm going to post a whole bunch of tutorials in the description that I've personally vetted and approved of when installing Python and getting up to speed on Python. If you are already an intermediate level Python programmer, then this tutorial is going to be a breeze for you. But to complete this tutorial, you are going to need to have Python installed in your computer, as well as the ability to run a single Python file. Everything we're going to be doing is going to be in a single Python file, and so if you can run one Python file, then you will be set for this tutorial. This isn't really a prerequisite. You can do without this step. However, I'm going to be doing everything on this tutorial inside of VS Code, the code editor that I use. And so if you don't have VS Code installed, I do suggest you already know what you're doing and know how to run a Python file and how to edit Python files or all of that stuff. If you don't know what you're doing, I do suggest you install VS Code to follow along this tutorial more directly. The fourth prerequisite is to subscribe to my channel. Okay, so the first step that we're going to need to do is to create an application for our account. This is going to give us a client ID and a secret ID that we can log into our Reddit account with programmatically. And so we're gonna have to go to a URL. It's gonna be reddit.com/prefs/apps. And if you have no other applications on your Reddit account, like no other programmatic access, it's gonna look like this. This is actually old Reddit. This is the old UI for the Reddit. And then you're going to go up here and you're going to click on, are you a developer, create an app? Yes. We're going to name ours Connor create bot. And then we're going to click script. So a web app would be like a Reddit clone that uses like Reddit data. Installed app would be like, like the Reddit viewers for your phone. We're just going to be making a script. It's going to run on your computer or something, like a cloud computer, and it's only going to have access to your account. We don't need a description. We don't need an about URL. However, we do need a redirect URI. And so we're going to put a placeholder in here. It's going to be http ://localhost 8080. It's very important that you copy this down this right way, or this way. If you don't, you might run into issues with like 401s, 401 conflict errors. And so like if you type this in correctly, this should allow you to create the app without issues. So we're gonna click the CAPTCHA and then create app. And then here on this screen, we have all the information we need to programmatically control our Reddit account. So we have our ID right here. This is our client ID. And then this is the secret ID. This will be the name. And so our next step is going to be moving into writing code that's going to use all this data here. All right, so the next step is going to be to create a Python file in a project that we can run our code in. This is just going to be a single file. I have VS Code open here. And in VS Code, I'm going to go to File, Open Folder. For me, I'm just going to put this on my desktop for now, but you can put it wherever. I'm going to make a new folder. We're going to call it code Reddit bot. And then that is going to be the folder that I select. Once again, I'm working in VS Code, but you can work in whatever you want. I trust the authors of this. Over here in the Explorer, this is the file Explorer. I'm going to right click, new file, and I'm going to call that Reddit_bot.py. Okay. And then from here, my personal preference, I usually don't use the play button. I usually just open a new terminal. We're going to see what version of Python I have. So I'm running this on Windows. If you're running this on Mac or Linux, the steps may differ quite a bit, but I'm on Windows 11. If you type in pi-v, it'll give you the version of Python that you're running. So I'm running Python 3.12.1, and that's going to be the Python version I run. So it's important that you have Python on your computer set up, because the version that you're running might be completely separate than what I'm running. You may be on 3.9, 3.10. This is kind of a step where you're going to have to figure something out on your own, maybe a little bit, but I'm sure that you can figure this out. So I'm running Python 3.12, and what I'm going to do is up here in the Reddit_bot.py, I'm going to print hello world, just to make sure that we have a Python interpreter. And then down here, I'm going to type in Python 3.12, so that's not what I want, Python 3.12, and then Reddit_bot.py. That's going to run it, and then I printed hello world, so I'm sure that I have Python set up. I'm going to pip install a library. So what we're going to do here is, down here in the terminal, what we want to do is pip install PRAW. However, on my computer, since I have multiple Python versions installed, I'm going to do Python 3.12-m pip install PRAW. And so what this does is this runs pip install for this specific version of Python. And I'm going to run that. PRAW is the Python Reddit API wrapper. So this is how we're going to be able to communicate with Reddit through Python. You could do it raw through requests. However, PRAW is way easier to work with. There's classes and stuff with accessor functions that make this super, super easy to do. So I'm going to run that. I should already have it installed, but it should install stuff for you. And then what we're going to do here in the file is we're going to get rid of our hello world, and we're going to import PRAW. And then we're going to run this file again with the version that we want to. .py, and see how there was no errors, there was no import errors. That means that we're set up with PRAW. All right, so now that we have PRAW installed, we're going to want to move some of the data here into our code project. So personally, I'd probably put this in a new file, but since this is like more of a beginner-friendly tutorial, we're just going to do it all in the same file. In the future, if you want to, deploy this somewhere, you don't want these to be in this file alone, like just in normal variables. You want to store them in environment variables in like the computer that you're running it on. That's a lot more secure. However, for the purposes of this tutorial, it doesn't really matter that much. So first things first, I want my username. So the username of my account is ConnorCreateBot, and that matches, this is the name that I made. But the username is the actual username of the account. The client ID we're going to need. And we're going to call that a client ID equals my client ID. And of course, use yours, don't use mine. It will not work. I will have disabled this by the time that you're watching this video. And we're going to need the secret ID. I'm going to call this client secret, I believe, because the API is, or the PRAW wrapper calls it that as well. So we're going to store that in a variable. Sometimes, like when I copy this, it puts this extra space here. We don't want that. I think there's like an extra like space variable, but we want to make sure to remove that because it gave me issues and I spent a lot more time than I needed to on them earlier. So yes, we have these three variables, and then there's one more. So we want the password for our account, and I'm going to pull this up on another screen. However, this is the password to your Reddit account. So we are doing things in a way that we are giving the Python code full access to our account, and so we want to supply it with the password. Once you get more advanced, and say you build this thing to be like super powerful, or you want to deploy it to somewhere, there are other ways to do this in the documents. So in the PRAW documents, You can use like a token sort of system, or you can use a read-only version where you don't need the password. However, for what we're doing today, we're going to be making posts and commenting and stuff. We're going to need our username and password supplied in with the client ID and client secret. And this is all of the information that we should be needing from that page that we just made. So the next step is to actually instantiate the Reddit object. So we're going to be creating our connection to Reddit. I'm going to call this Reddit instance equals to PRAW.Reddit, and we're making a PRAW.Reddit object. And then what we're going to do is pass in a whole bunch of variables. So client ID is equal to our client ID. Don't get confused here. So in Python, what you can do is you can specify what kind of variable you want to pass in. This Reddit object takes in a client ID, a client secret, a password, a user agent, a username. So this is the specifier for which parameter we're sending in, and then this is our local one that we just created here. I know that people who understand Python, you don't need that description, but I'm giving it to those who may be confused. Client secret is equal to client secret. Username is equal to username. Password is equal to password. And then there's one last variable that we want to pass in. It's a user agent. This can really be whatever you want. I have seen people online have issues with like putting spaces in here or making it like super long. I don't think it should matter, but we're going to do test_but. And then this is our connection to Reddit. I'm storing it in this Reddit instance variable. PRAW.Reddit is the call to Reddit to make that connection. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print Reddit instance user me, and then this is a function that's going to return the current logged in user. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to run that command again, and you see .me, that's the user we're logged in. If this prints out your username, you are successfully logged into the Reddit API, and we can begin on the next steps. I have seen issues where this throws a 401 error, and I personally haven't figured out why, and a whole bunch of other people online haven't figured out why, but I've ended up having to, redo all of this stuff. Also, waiting 10-15 minutes has also seemed to solve the issue a few times. But if you run into that, comment down below. Maybe I'll be able to guide you with some resources. I might just put them in the description regardless, because it seems to be a very sporadic issue that a lot of people run into. So there we are. We're connected to the Reddit API. The next step will be to get some submissions from a subreddit. So to do that, we're going to first need to get the instance of a subreddit. And so I'm going to pick a subreddit. I like cats, and that's why we're going to use the cats subreddit for the purposes of this tutorial. So I'm going to make a variable called subreddit, and I'm going to equal that to Reddit instance dot subreddit, and then in the parentheses here, we're going to put a string of cats, not cars, cats. And it's very important to note that this is just the word. We're not putting like r/ in here. It's just the word. And then if we print out subreddit, the variable that we just made, it should show us the subreddit name when we run it in the terminal. Important to note, I commented out the print Reddit instance user.me, so that's not printing anymore. It's only printing the subreddit. Okay, so down here we have cats in the terminal, which means that we successfully grabbed the cats subreddit. Now we're going to get all of the top 25 submissions for that subreddit. So what I'm going to do is call a variable called top 25 submissions, and we're going to equal that to subreddit dot hot, and then we're going to put a variable in here 25. So this will get us the top, like the hot 25, pretty much exactly what's on the front page right now. So if we go to reddit.com/cats, we'll see that if this loads, we'll see that the top, like the hot 25 will have like was eating with my friend, and this little fella showed up. That's an ad. Is that another ad? No, that's a cat. it's going to have all these posts in here, and this is something we're going to be verifying when we run this code here. So top 25 submissions equal to subreddit.hot25, and then we're going to print out, we're going to loop over them. We're going to do for submission in top 25 submissions, print submission.title. Okay, and so what this line of code here does is we're going to loop over the top 25 submissions that we just gathered from the subreddit.hot, and for each submission that we grab out of those 25, we're going to print out the title. So we should be seeing exactly what we just saw there on the front page. It takes one positional argument, but two were given. Let me see here. What did I do wrong? Let's try this. There we go. Okay, so I guess it's important to specify the variable specifier here. So subreddit.hot limit equals 25. You can't just pass in 25 and expect it to know that that's limit, because it's not a positional. So yes, here we have exactly what is on the front page. So if I run these side by side, the top post is the PSA scams and requests for donations. A reminder political motivated submissions will be removed. And then was eating with my friend, and then this little fellow showed up. So this will be in the exact format that the hot page here on r/cats shows. So it's also important to note that we can change the sorting algorithm for the sorting and filtering algorithm for the pages on Reddit. So you see how here we have hot, new, and top. What we can do is, instead of calling hot, we can call the new sorter, the new filter. I don't exactly know what it's called, but it's the way that they filter this. And how we do that is we just change the function that we call. So new, if we call new, then it should give us the 25 new posts on cats subreddit. So let's see here. At the top we have adoption. Will the third time be the charm for this bonded pair? And a friend said my cats look like they're about to drop the sickest album. Let's go verify that. So here's that first post. And then there's an ad. And then a friend said my cats look like they're about to drop the sickest album. So news working. We can do this with top as well. So top 25. So top right here, our lady was pretty calm while, yeah. And then I think that this sorts automatically by now or all time. Yes, okay, so here. So it sorts by all time. There's the cat in the bomb shelter, very good. Another thing that I would like to show you in regards to this is the time filter. So there's another positional argument that we can pass in here, and it's called the time filter. And this can be one of all, or day, or week, and hour, month, year. It can be any of those. So if we specify this as all on the top of all time, it's going to give us, the top of all time. However, if we specify this as week and then run it, it will give us the top posts for the last week. So found the perfect chair for my sweet boy, and he actually sits in it. So hopefully that works. Found the perfect chair for my sweet boy, and he actually sits in it. So it's very similar to how you use this web page here. The API works very similar to that. And it's kind of predictable as to how these work. You just call the function that you want, and then you pass in a limit. You don't need to pass in a limit. There's a default limit. I believe the default limit's 25. And then you pass in a time filter, but there's a default time filter for each subreddit, and it gives you the posts that match those variables. So pretty self-explanatory. That's how you extract posts from subreddits. You can change this subreddit to any subreddit you want, and it will work the same. All right, so the next thing we're going to be doing is submitting a post. So we're going to submit our first post. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring this down here. So we have a, oops, so can't do that. So we have a new subreddit to work with. And then I'm going to comment this out. So we leave the historical stuff up here for you to look at in the future, but we're going to have this down here. So I'm going to change the subreddit to testing ground for bots. This is a subreddit that someone made for specifically testing out bots. So you're not going to get banned if you post stuff in here. Very helpful when testing out bots. So you can see a whole bunch of people are just like writing test posts using their descriptions, and that's exactly what we're going to do, except we're going to change the title and everything from this boring test. So come down here, we have this subreddit. So what we can do is we can print subreddit to verify that we properly got access to that subreddit. We do testing ground for bots, and then what we're going to do next is we're going to do subreddit.submit. And there's going to be two parameters we pass into here. I think there's only one that's really mandatory, and it's the title. You can't have an empty title, but we're going to do title is equal to this is my test post from my bots. And then what we're going to do is also pass in self-text. And the self-text is the description that comes with it. So the self-text in, these are all links. So the self-text in here would be this, okay? So we're gonna pass in, hello, you doing, okay? And then we're going to run this. Ran without errors, so let's go verify that it worked. Go to new, boom, there we go, I already upvoted it. That's just that simple. All right, so to fetch comments, we are going to be getting a post from a subreddit that has a lot of comments. So I'm gonna go to r/askreddit because that subreddit is all about commenting. And I'm gonna get this top post here because it has 818 comments, and that's plenty of data to work with. I'm going to get the submission. So we do submission is equal to Reddit instance dot submission, and we're gonna print submission.title. We're gonna make sure that we have the right submission here. What is a small everyday decision that you made? Everyday submission. So we have the right submission here. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, submission.comments is all of the comments that are on this post. So if I do print submission.comments and we see what happens, we have a comment forest. So a comment forest is how Reddit does comments. Essentially, you can call length on this. It acts kind of like a list of comments. However, since the API of Reddit doesn't return all of the comments in each individual post, there's a replace more option. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to print submission.comments length. Well, actually, I don't even know if this will work. Hold on. 233. Okay, so we got 233 here. However, if we go to here, it has 818. All right, so that's because the 233 is only returning the top level comments because it doesn't want you to overload the API. There are posts on Reddit with like 20,000 comments, and if you got all of them in one API call, it would overload, the the timeout. It would take too long to return to you. And so they do them in sort of a paging system. And so we got 233. What if we get the comments. Comments is equal to submission.comments. And then what we do is print the length of comments. And then we do comments dot replace more. And then we print the length of comments again. See, we increased the number of comments, and you could do this replace more until you get to the end. Essentially, as soon as it stops increasing, then we have all of the comments. So you might not want all of the comments at the beginning, but to get all of them, if you do want all of them, you will need to run this replace more in a for loop until the previous comments length matches the new replace comments length. That's just a little caveat. So what we can do is we can loop over these comments, and we do for comment and comments, and then we're going to make an if condition that checks for certain things in the comment. So this person commented that they drink warm water. Okay, so that's in the comments. What we're going to do is if the word water is in comment.body, so body is the text that is seen here, we're going to here print comment.body, so that this should show that drinking warm water was in this, as well as any other post. So I'm going to clear my terminal, run this, and yes, we got a whole bunch of people saying drinking water, drinking more water. This person also went to therapy. That's good. Water pick, daily, water. So we're able to filter based off of these posts. What we could also do is comment.reply. Your comment contains water. However, I'm not going to run this code because then it would reply to each of these in the comment chain, and we don't want to spam the subreddit with some nonsense like that. So what would happen is if I search for water here, if we ran that code, what it would essentially do is come here and say your comment contains water. We're not going to do that because we don't want to spam with our brand new shiny bot, and I don't want you guys to get kicked from askreddit right off the bat. So yeah, that's how you filter comments. It's how you get comments, and it's how you reply to comments, even though we didn't necessarily reply to comments. You can play around with replying to comments on your own posts. I wouldn't let a bot loose to reply to comments in askreddit right off the bat because it can turn into catastrophically spamming. And so there you have it. With all this information, you should be able to extract posts and comments, as well as post and comment yourself using your Reddit bot. Let me know what you liked about the tutorial. If you have any complaints, put them down in the comments. I'll take your feedback to heart and include it in whatever I build next. Also, if you want to learn anything else, please let me know down in the comments so that I can see if I can help you with that. Thank you.